Hello, hey, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not bad at all. So today, as you know, T, we'll be doing an interview. So the interview will be on what is relationship mean to you. Before we start, I just want to know if I have your consent.
Yeah, of course. You have my consent.
Okay, perfect. So before we start, my question to you would be, what does being in relationship mean to you?
Hmm. For me, being in a relationship means having someone who sees you, not just the surface and like the outside and the physical aspect, but the whole person. So, like, for them, like seeing my history, seeing my struggles, my culture, everything. Growing up Filipino, my parents always say that relationships are about commitment, sacrifice, staying connected, and respecting each other. So for me, a relationship is something you take seriously, something you nurture, and it's not just like something to play around with.
Okay, I see. And you were talking a little bit of your family dynamics.
So in terms of family dynamics, a lot of things come up. Um, and speaking in terms of me and my partner, we didn't really grow up the same way. For starters, we are from different backgrounds. Um, Me, I grew up as a Filipino in Canada. I grew up hearing speaking Tagalog at home and being taught Christian values since I was a child. It's kind of different from my partner who grew up in a different faith. We grew up differently, so naturally our worlds don't mesh perfectly, but I feel like we can kind of like build bridges and kind of like meet in the middle. And I feel like there's always like learning about each other happening, and there's always adjusting,
Mhm.
always trying to understand where the other person is coming from and not necessarily compromising, but just trying to learn how to work with each other's differences.
I see. Um, what is your background? You say you're Filipino. Could
Mhm.
you tell me more about that?
So, yes, I am Filipino. I was born in Manila, Philippines. I had left when I was 2 years old, and kind of growing up in like the Western world, I didn't really have much of uh, you know, connection to the Filipino culture, but I did in the sense where like, being around my parents, my and my family, I kind of learned growing up that we would express love through actions like cooking, checking in, helping each other, and being like physically present. We're not really afraid to show our emotions
Hmm.
um, in the sense that if we feel angry, we make it very much known that, or if we're sad, we're like comfortable to be like, hey, like kind of feeling down. Um, Filipinos are known to be very family oriented in the sense where um, we we work like multiple jobs here just to like send money home to the Philippines and kind of just like help our family back home make ends meet. Um, we don't always say things like, like, oh, like I love you out loud, but we try to show it in 1,000 small ways other than just expressing it verbally. Whether this means like folding each other's laundry, like um, cooking each other meals.
Hmm.
So, um, yeah, we express love differently. In terms of like me and my partner, they're a bit more open, a bit more direct.
I see.
Um, they're a bit more verbal with their feelings. They're not afraid to just like tell it as it is, where it's like in my family, like personally, like we kind of just like kind of beat around the bush like a little bit, you know. It's kind of funny, so like a little bit of like passive aggression, but um uh,
Would you say your family are more open when you have conversations?
definitely open, but at the same time, like within the culture itself, they avoid confrontation, and especially in a culture where it's like you have to respect your elders, whether they're wrong or right. You have to choose peace, also known as pakikisama,
Hmm.
and it's kind of just like, you know, we don't like to bring conflict to the surface, and you were raised to not disrespect your elders and talk things out loud immediately. So, um, I don't know. Sounds more
So,
like it sounds like it's a bit toxic, but um, yeah, like it might seem like to my partner that my silence is like a bit avoidant, and for me, it might seem that like their directness is actually like a little bit overwhelming. So, a lot of like communication has to occur just so we can kind of understand where each of us is coming from and kind of meet in the middle and be like, hey, this is what I need, and then like, are you willing to give that to me? And like, and that's how we make it work.
can you tell me more about how you like the culture differences is and what value do you see most being reflected within yourself and your partner?
Um, Having my partner and I having been raised in religious households and being raised in religious institutions, in my case, being raised in Sabbath school, which is essentially the, like Sunday school, and my partner being raised in like Islamic school, right? Or I honestly like I believe they have like lessons in their mosque. I believe that's the equivalent, but essentially what I'm saying is it is too conservative kind of like
Ye-
upbringings in a sense. And
Mhm.
I feel like we both not I didn't exactly like stray from it, but I kind of just like once I had left that, sphere or like that environment and kind of went to college and met more people of different backgrounds, I was kind of just like questioning like, hey, you know, do I really believe in so and so? I'm not in that sense, but just like, do I agree with like certain beliefs that I grew up with? And I'm pretty sure my partner felt the same way. And we kind of just subconsciously just hold certain beliefs that were ingrained in us, as naturally we grew up in those belief systems, and you kind of carry it throughout your life, whether you like it or not. But you kind of like take that and you kind of mesh it with your own beliefs that you form with your experiences. And even though it's two different like religious backgrounds, I feel like we can both make it work because you know, when you want to be with someone, you make it work, and you essentially just learn to respect the differences and actually learn how to embrace them and be like, how can I make this a part of my life now?
Could you tell me more about your relationship with with the religion and and your relationship with religion and God um, and your view?
My relationship with God. and my view of Christianity.
Yes.
So I grew up essentially in the church. It's a big part of my identity, and I believe that my faith has shaped my values, my decisions, and essentially the way that I view love, patience, and essentially marriage, honestly. But being with someone who isn't from the same spiritual background, it challenged me to rethink things, not in a bad way, just differently. Um, I had moments of fear where I was just like, hey, like what if our beliefs clash? What if my family or his family doesn't accept it? What if I lose part of my faith? But I realized that spirituality doesn't require like matching beliefs and just mutual respect and understanding. And my partner has shown me that. And I try to show them the same respect for their beliefs, whether it's inquiring why they believe certain things and um, asking what certain things mean and like why do they do this, and not in a judgmental way, but more so of a how can I learn more about this and actually show an appreciation for it.
I see. Can you tell me more example or like a experience that you notice with your partner and religion?
Um, an experience I've had with my partner and religion in terms of what?
In terms of the similarities and the differences in values that you felt like can coexist together in your relationship.
So I'm not much, I'm not very much, I did take world religions in high school, but I'm not very much knowledgeable about the, you know, practices of Islam, but I will say something that I had messaged or called my partner uh, at certain times, or just like, and he was like, oh, you know, I'm making a dua. And I was like, what does that mean? And then he wouldn't respond for a bit. And then I would like, um, I would search it up, and it's essentially just making prayer. And I did learn in world religions that they pray 5 times a day. I believe I could be wrong, but essentially I've learned like I've grown appreciation for the reverence that they have regarding spending time with their creator and essentially setting aside the busyness of life and meeting deadlines and just the chaos of it, just to enter a sphere of peace and meditation. So I did appreciate that, and I do actually believe it's kind of like similar to how I would feel if I would enter prayer with my God, So I feel like it's very much similar what we experience and what we get from religion. It's kind of the same sense of peace and that driving force that um, essentially just like keeps you sane in this world.
Yeah, I see. What is one thing that you feel like you have learned new about Islam or like new about your relationship with your partner after understanding more about the religion?
I feel like I learned a lot about um like the holidays, not necessarily holidays, but like Ramadan. So the significance of it, I've learned that it's a time of fasting, whereas perhaps I come from both Catholic and Christian background, so maybe the equal would be Lent, where you essentially give up something to kind of show, what would you say, discipline, spiritual discipline. I've learned that Ramadan was a time is a time of like spiritual discipline, and then you have to give up something that you thought you couldn't live without, but it's like, hey, I could survive without this if like, I um get in get in touch with the source, and if I focus on the important things in life, then you know, that really touched me in a sense where it's like I felt like connected to that practice, and I was like willing to be like, hey, like, maybe I could join you for that. And I kind of like see why you do this and kind of want to like, be a part of it as well. So I did kind of learn how to have an appreciation um for that. And what else? I feel like I've learned a lot of sayings in like Arabic, things that um, you know,
Would you
stand.
say that your when you understood about Ramadan, that
Mhm.
you were able to connect with your partner more deeply?
I would say so, yeah, but essentially I didn't do it for my partner, but just to have an understanding for my personal self, like, hey, you know, um, hypothetically, like if I were to have a child with my partner, would I be, you know, okay with them? Not okay, but would I, um, I would just want to have a better understanding of like um, the religion that if they were to wanting to choose to practice Islam, right? Like I would want to understand what they are learning and not just like being in the background, being like, hey, oh yeah, hey, you go do that, but not
Right.
me not understanding at all. Like why are they doing that? And I think that if you have a child and you are like you're married and you have a partner, it's like if you want them to be raised in a religion, you also want to kind of be involved in the sense where like you understand what's going on.
I see. Since you and your partner are of different cultural and spiritual background, and you did speak about your understanding on his spirituality as well. How about the relationship dynamics with from his side?
The relations dynamics, can you please kind of explain?
How your relationship, how does it correspond with him? Like both he's of a different background as well, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So so how does that impact your relationship with him of someone with a different background for future?
So I guess the differences in background in both like, you know, culturally and like
Yeah,
spiritually. And I feel like,
like could you expand more on the big culture shock that you've seen in your relationship with him?
I feel like the a big cultural shock I had was as much as I'm not trying to like throw shade at like Christians and stuff, like I am a Christian, but like we tend to say save yourself for marriage in the sense where it's like you date to marry, but
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like it's very much so even more in my partner's cultural and like religious upbringing in the sense where it's like you don't even introduce someone to your family unless you are like for the reason of marriage. And I honestly totally get it and I do agree with it. But also it's kind of just like I'm not really used to that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my my mom was very willing to meet my partner and just get
Mm-hmm.
to like say hi, you know, um, I'm her mom and like it's nice to meet you, it's like, it's just very casual, but like um whereas on the other side it's kind of like very It's like no funny business, you know? It's like if you introduce someone to the family, it's like it's for a reason
Yes.
type. And then like I do understand it and I see the sentiment in it, but it was a cultural shock, yeah.
Would you say, I know that, what is your partner's ethnicity, if you don't mind me asking?
My partner is from Bangladesh and he that's his like, you know, that's where he was that's where his family is from. Um how do I explain this? He was born in Saudi, but like essentially he's Bengali.
Okay, I see.
Comes
So, mhm.
back.
So would you say that there was a, culturally speaking, and we know that Bangladesh and Saudi Arabia are often Asian, within the Asian Pacific, right? So what
Mhm.
is one culture differences that you, or not differences, but similarities that you've seen that, with him and your culture?
Mm, honestly, he's South Asian, so essentially I feel like it's a little bit ignorant to say oh, you know, South Asian, I'm Southeast Asian. We have to be alike, right? But no, like actually there's a lot of differences and it's like, you know, there's the stereotypes where it's just like, oh yeah, you're Asian, you should be good at math and you should care about school and you should go into law, you should go into like medicine. Like
Mhm,
there's the stereotypical like beliefs that surround being Asian.
mhm.
However, I think I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like honestly, I feel like what I've grown an appreciation for is just like getting to know his cuisine and getting to know, be like, hey, like I kind of eat that too, you know? And like it's not essentially like it kind of looks the same, but it's not the same. And yeah, I don't know if I answered that question
Yes.
properly.
Would you say that, um, how is it like expressing each other's feelings, let's just say? What big differences have you seen?
I think the expression of feelings and emotions has nothing, it might have something to do, it might have a little bit to do with your background, but I feel like it's more so having to do with the way you were socialized and it's kind of shaped by your experience in life because
I,
um,
hmm
uh, in my just talking about myself, um, in Filipino culture, we're very much, I would say vocal. Like, Filipinos are very known to be very loud. When they laugh, they're very loud and they're very like, you know, they would say chismosa. It's like you say what's on your mind, and if something's happening, you talk about it. And it's like gossip, right? So what I'm trying to say is like I grew up in that kind of way, and I kind of feel like, yeah, maybe it does influence the way that I love. I'm very like loud, I'm very like unapologetic. I say what's on my mind, and it can kind of come off as a bit um
would you say that the, like, what would you say is the big, differences in, like, in both culturally, how you express feeling for each other? How would you say that?
well, I don't wanna like um I can't really associate the way that he expresses his emotions with his like culture because like I feel like that's a bit like
Would you say
no.
there's a difference in how he expresses, his feelings, or how you express? You see a bit of a difference, something
Yeah,
that influences
I
culturally.
would say so. So I guess like for him when he expresses his emotions, he is um very direct and blunt and will be like, hey, this is um this is something that bothers me. I'm only gonna bring it up once, and this is what I would like you to do. And yeah. And then I guess for me, it's more so of just like if something bothers me, like I'm a bit like there's like the side, right? Like the emotional side, I'm very much like I live a little bit like emotional. Like I kind of just like I'll like bring it up multiple times and I'll be like, "Hey, like did you do this?" Or like, "Why is it like this?" And it's like and I won't essentially be like, "Hey, like this is what bothers me and I need you to change it." But sometimes like maybe it's just a me problem, but I'll just be like, "Why did you do this?" And like blah blah blah, you know?
So it
But I guess it
sounds
is
like
like it depends.
it sounds like it's very understanding, and it sounds like something new that you're experiencing, especially for someone who is very direct, right? And who's able to express their emotion clearly, would you say?
Yeah. So I do think that I can express myself clearly. It's just the way I go about it is a bit more, mm, not
More
as
with
direct,
more
not
with
as
emotion, you
direct,
could
a
say.
bit more like indirect. There you go. Where a lot of Asian, there you go with a generalization, but like um, it's just something I feel like is a notice in like not only just like Southeast, but also like East everywhere. It's just like the saving face aspect of like not wanting to ruin the relationship and kind of just like beating around the bush and being not being like, hey, like you did this and it bothers me. And like I tend to do more so of like oh, I kind of feel sad today. Like I'm not really feeling good. And then my partner will be like, why? And I'll be like, I don't know. It's just and then like I'll kind of wait for them to because I don't want to be outright like, hey, you did this and it bothered me. And I think that's like obviously something I need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
What would you say a like an experience that you remember with your partner that you're able to talk about your future goals as you know that culturally also spiritually that you feel like your each values that aligned and could you share more on that?
for sure. Um, so my partner and I are both nurses, and being immigrants, I believe that we were both growing up and we were told to do well in school because this is the only way to succeed. And even though this may not necessarily be true for everyone, but it's kind of just ingrained at the back of our minds. And so my partner and I I would say we do value education in the sense where like we make sure like we're both on top of our stuff and then it's like, hey, did you do this assignment or how are you feeling about school? And we always do check in. And like a lot of our dates are actually like study dates. And even if that means like studying on the phone or on call, we make sure to keep ourselves accountable because we do actually envision a future together where we're both in that field and we have our established degrees and we want it to like um we want to see that happen so we keep each other accountable. So I believe that like the value of like education, which is both like ingrained in both South Asian and like Southeast Asian culture, like it's there, like clearly. And it's like that's one value. I think another one is just like I guess family. So we had made it a point to like eventually like introduce each other to our families and stuff and like kind of like sprinkling it here and there,
Tell
right?
me more about that, how your family's relationship or their experiences from you dating someone of a different ethnic and spiritual background, and how their viewpoint is also of you both being nurses.
Well, in terms of the um the spiritual aspect, I'll be honest with you, my family like they were ecstatic. They were like, "Oh, you have someone that is like real not there you have someone that's like religious, right? Like that means like they can kind of like cut kind of help you stay grounded and and kind of like instill um like certain like beliefs and values and like kind of like and like I think this comes from a place where it's like both my I'll just like be like so transparent. My mom and my grandma were both working like they worked in the West. Like my grandma was a teacher in the States, and my mom was a nurse here for almost 25 years in Canada. And they kind of just like they're very open-minded when it comes to these things. They're very open-minded when it comes to interracial relationships and like um inter religious relationships. And I feel like they're very open-minded about it, and they're like, um, they're they believe in something that keeps them grounded and keeps them going in this type of world nowadays. We'll take it. Like, they don't really have some sort of like bias or between it's like, oh no, you need to date a Christian guy. Well, like obviously like my mom was like kind of like it would be nice, if you went to church and found someone. It's like I found someone and they're not in the church, but they kind of like are.
How does your mom feel about that? Do you, which, tell me your experience. Like, do you think that your mom, or you, your relationship between your parents got stronger, or would you say your relationship stayed the same?
So are you asking me if my relationship with my parents became stronger after like being
Or
more
yes,
spiritual?
after they finding out that you were dating someone of a different spiritual belief, would you say that
Um,
they were kind of your relationship with the parents became more stronger, or like you guys have more time to talk about it? How did they feel?
After my parents found out that I was dating someone from a different faith, they I honestly don't think they cared, but there is some like members of my family that I think wouldn't be so open to hearing about it, and so I just don't tell them about it.
I see. How do you feel that currently, and also looking at future as well, your relationship with your parents and your brothers or sisters, if you have, do you think it will change if you if you were to have a future with with this person of a different ethnic background and spiritual background as well? Or do you think it will remain the same?
Um, Whether or not my relationship with my partner will change the relationship I have with my family or my friends or just like anyone in general is irrelevant because essentially I feel like the partner that you choose um has a big role in how your life will play out. And to kind of just wanting to please everyone
It's
and
so
setting
you're more
aside emotions
you're more
for
comfortable, you would say.
pardon.
So you say you're more comfortable, like nothing really changed.
Nothing changed.
Okay. Well, last but not least, how do you feel about your relationship now, and what's your future goals, plans?
I feel great in my relationship now in the sense where I think great is not the right word. I feel like I'm very much content and happy with my relationship because
Mm.
it hasn't always been like butterflies and sunshine. We're both in nursing school and things get very real, and there's a lot of like sleep deprivation. There's a lot of like maybe like 3 or 4 weeks of maybe not even seeing each other or hearing from each other for days, and it does get hard. And I know that there's like a silver lining that comes out of it, and I know that like essentially like it'll get better, but I'm just happy to have someone that is on the same journey as me and accepts me for who I am and where I am in life, and my future like goals with my partner is to like
Well, that's
you know
amazing, amazing to hear, right? And thank you very much for sharing your story. And thank you very much for being very kind to share your family experience and dynamics as well.
Mhm.
And is there anything else would you like to share?
No, there's nothing else I would like to share.
Well, thank you for participating in my interview. And um,